Well, I'll start with the whole term underrepresented can take place in either a rural, suburban, or urban school division. You'll always have underrepresented populations or populations of students who need something extra in order to enrich their educational experience. I found that STEM education is very important because it allows elementary students to think, to solve problems, and to be creative, which are all seeds that you're planting at the early stages of education to allow them to make broader connections to the learning that's taking place in the classroom. We always see in elementary students a high level of interest in learning and engagement in learning, and it starts to filter off as you go to middle school and high school. You have to work a little harder for that level of engagement. But why not maximize the engagement of students at the elementary level around the learning that's taking place? STEM education allows students to do that. Well, my first experience as a new superintendent was to look at some engaging ways to engage students at the elementary level. And we were fortunate enough to create a STEM lab in an elementary school, which we were going to model and then replicate in other schools. So we hired a teacher that was very interested in STEM education and allowed them to be properly trained in science, engineering, and STEM concepts. And they utilized that lab to bring classes in to do specific activities that tied into social studies, tied into math and science. And the students had a lot of engaging things that they could do in that STEM lab. We found that to be a very rewarding experience in our district. Fast forward to my second experience. I was in a district that was well established in STEM education, and we had a lot of opportunities for students not only to experience collaborative activities in the classroom, but they also had a lot of STEM competitions that were really ran and facilitated with local entities, businesses, the military. Other folks came in and supported those real world activities that allowed students to expand their understanding of STEM education. But the bulk of the activities took place in the daily classroom, the context of the daily classroom. Those resources were made available. The teachers were a part of the facilitative process and trained to do so. And I found that experience to be much more engaging and broader across the district than just having that STEM lab activity where folks had to sign up for a schedule and bring their class to that experience. I see a lot of things the same things my colleagues see today, which relate to professional development and training, and the allocation of resources that will allow you to broaden that experience for more students. We often use terms like equity and access, and if we are limited in our resources and/or training, sometimes it will also limit the equity piece of trying to make that experience available to all students. So that is a challenge for STEM education. And I think in many cases, finding staff members to train, to facilitate, and you want the classroom teacher to be that facilitator if possible. And then also to have the curriculum and the resources made readily available so that it's easy to access and incorporate that in the classroom on a more consistent schedule than just this being a one-time thing per 9 weeks or some every 6 weeks. You want to really make this a part of the learning that takes place in the classroom. So that's a challenge, getting to that piece. And so you need to make this as fundamentally easy for principals and for district level folks to make sure that it's sustainable in their districts as possible. One is the training is readily available to teachers. It's not very extensive and long. It just prepares them to be the facilitator in the classroom. And then you have the resources that are made available to each classroom. So the teacher just unpacks. They have their lesson, their plans already in place, and they're ready to implement those activities in their classrooms without a high level of preparation. So I think those are some things that could lead to broader sustainability across the elementary ranges. These are engaging activities, hands-on activities, and quality STEM-related activities for students. And there's an alignment with many of the key concepts that are in the curriculum that's being taught in the classroom. So I see the League of Young Inventors as really being an innovator in this space and and providing opportunities to expand STEM-related activities and hands-on activities across the country. If you're not a part of the League of Young Inventors, join them today, or at least look them up and get some information. I think you'll be pleased. Everyone's in a different place with STEM, but I think we all will agree that providing these type of quality experiences and allowing students to think is really where we need to be in public education today, and in broader areas as well.